All right, today we are peeling back the layers on one of the internet's most hidden corners. We're diving deep, really deep, into the world of dark web investigations, where intelligence agencies are playing this constant, high-stakes game of cat and mouse to unmask criminals who think they're safe behind a shield of digital anonymity.
You know, this quote really nails the challenge. The dark web, it isn't just one place. It's this fluid, ever-changing ecosystem. For an investigator, it's a chaotic marketplace for all sorts of illicit stuff, sure, but it's also this incredibly valuable source of intelligence that's always threatening to just vanish.
So where do you even start? How do investigators begin to crack this world? Well, let's start with the outer layer. Why this digital shadow world is such a massive focus for intelligence gathering in the first place.
It's kind of ironic, right? The very anonymity that criminals flock to is what makes the dark web such an uncensored window into their entire world. For investigators, it is an absolute goldmine. They can get early warnings on huge data breaches, they can track the newest criminal tactics, identify the actual people behind the keyboard, and see everything from stolen Netflix accounts to brand new, unpatched software exploits being sold in real time.
And the sheer scale of it all, it's just staggering. I mean, to put it into perspective, just one illicit site, this one called Boytown, had over 400,000 registered users before it got taken down in this massive international operation. So we're not talking about some tiny niche corner of the internet. This is a sprawling digital underground.
So how does this whole underworld stay hidden? Well, let's peel back that next layer and look at the core technology that makes it all possible, a piece of software you've probably heard of called Tor.
Tor, it actually stands for the Onion Router, and it's designed to do one thing really well: anonymous communication. What it does is it takes your internet traffic and just bounces it all over the world through this huge network of computers that people volunteer to run. And in doing so, it hides your location and what you're doing from anyone trying to watch.
Okay, so here's the genius of how Tor works, this onion routing. Your connection gets sent through at least 3 random computers or nodes. Think of it like a secret message being passed between spies. The first spy, the guard node, knows the message came from you, but has no clue where it's ultimately going. The last spy, the exit node, knows the final destination, but has no idea who sent it in the first place. And that spy in the middle, they only know the spy they got it from and the one they're passing it to. That separation of knowledge, that is the secret sauce to Tor's anonymity.
And this is exactly why it's called the onion router. Just like a real onion, your data gets wrapped in multiple layers of encryption. Each computer in the chain can only peel back one single layer, which reveals just enough information to send the data to the next stop, without ever exposing the full path from you to your destination.
So, if Tor is so secure, how in the world are investigators ever successful? Okay, let's get to the core of it now. How do intelligence agencies actually find the cracks in this digital armor?
This right here, this is the fundamental challenge. This is the whole ballgame. It's this super high-stakes game of digital forensics. You can't just follow an IP address. It doesn't work that way. Instead, investigators have to piece together these tiny clues from all over the place to try and reveal the actual person behind the screen.
The Boytown takedown is the perfect case study. It wasn't one single trick that brought them down. No, it was this multi-year, multi-pronged attack. You had agents going undercover in chat rooms, just logging when people were talking. Then, they used this sophisticated technique called a guard discovery attack to figure out the very first hop in the admin's Tor circuits. Then, bam, they hit an ISP with a court order to see who was connecting to those specific guard nodes. And by matching the chat times with the traffic data, they could finally pinpoint their targets.
But here's the kicker. This whole massive operation, it was only possible because the targets made one critical mistake. They used an old version of a chat client called Ricochet, and that outdated piece of software was missing a modern security feature, which left them wide open to that guard discovery attack in the first place.
And this really shows you the constant arms race that is cybersecurity. An attack method, like guard discovery, gets used successfully. So what happens? The security community responds by building a defense. In this case, it was a feature called Vanguards, which is now built into Tor to make that specific attack much harder to pull off. It's a never-ending cycle.
So, knowing all these risks, how does an investigator even operate safely in this kind of environment? Let's take a look at the playbook they use to gather intelligence without getting compromised themselves.
This is rule number 1, 2, and 3 of dark web investigation: operational security, or OPSEC. One single mistake, one moment of sloppiness can blow an investigator's real identity and completely derail an entire operation. The little details matter immensely.
I mean, just look at Ross Ulbricht, the guy who created the Silk Road Marketplace. He was basically a dark web pioneer, but he got caught because of the most basic OPSEC failures. He reused an old alias from years before. He used an email address that had his real name in it. He even logged into his own illegal site from a cafe right near his apartment, leaving this crystal clear digital trail right to his front door.
And it's not like he's the only one. Alexander Kazes, the admin of another huge marketplace called Alphabay, made the exact same kind of unbelievable mistake. He literally put his personal real name email address into the automated welcome messages that went out to every new user. It's a classic failure of what they call compartmentalization, just not keeping your real life and your secret online life completely, totally separate.
So to avoid those mistakes, investigators use specialized operating systems. The choice usually boils down to one of two, Wannix or Tails. Wannix is fantastic for long-term investigations because it uses two separate virtual machines to keep your network activity totally isolated from everything else you're doing. Tails, on the other hand, is what they call amnesiac. It runs off a USB stick and is built from the ground up to leave absolutely no trace on the computer it was used on. Perfect for quick, high-risk sessions. And yeah, just like the regular web, the dark web has its own search engines, but they operate on very different principles. An investigator might use something like AMIA, which filters out the really nasty, illegal content for safer, broader searches. But for that deep reconnaissance, they might have to turn to a totally uncensored engine like Torch, one of the oldest and largest out there, to see the raw, unfiltered landscape, while taking some extreme precautions, of course.
Okay, so for our final section, let's zoom all the way out, because this isn't just about individual criminals and investigators. It's a huge strategic conflict, and it's being fought on the very infrastructure of the internet itself.
That's right. The most sophisticated attacks, the really scary ones, they don't happen on some person's laptop. They happen at a much, much higher level, targeting the fundamental protocols that make the entire internet work.
See, a really powerful adversary, think of a state intelligence agency, isn't just watching one connection. They're trying to watch the entire internet. A correlation attack is like seeing a guy in a mask walk into a subway station. At the exact same moment, a guy with the same build walks out of another station across town. With enough data, you can connect the dots. They can also hijack internet routing. It's like changing all the road signs to divert traffic past your own cameras. Or they can even run their own poisoned Tor nodes to spy on traffic as it passes through.
And this really is the critical takeaway. The creators of Tor themselves have said it. They've acknowledged its limitations. It provides incredibly powerful protection against targeted surveillance, sure, but it was not designed to withstand an adversary who can see and analyze pretty much all traffic all the time, all across the globe.
Which leaves us with a final, really provocative question. In a world where surveillance capabilities are just growing exponentially, where AI can analyze data at a scale we can barely comprehend, is the very idea of true, unbreakable digital anonymity becoming, well, a relic of the past? That's a question that really defines the future of privacy for all of us.